Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a video on reading the most popular 2024 new releases because everyone has been reading a lot of these new releases and I'm a sheep. Okay, so I follow everyone. When there's a popular book, I want to read them because I want to know whether or not I would like them. A lot of these books I have chosen from other people's videos because a lot of them have been mentioned and a lot of people have read them, but I also chose some that was on the Goodreads most popular new releases in 2024. So the first book that I want to read is Funny Story by Emily Henry, which if you guys haven't heard about this book, all I know about it is that it's about two roommates who both got cheated on and then they live together, and I don't really know what happens from there. I don't have the greatest track record when it comes to Emily Henry. The only book that I really like, I think, was Happy Place, and I did enjoy Book Lovers, but her other books, I just feel like personally the writing doesn't really suit my taste. I did really like reading Happy Place, so I am excited to read this book because Happy Place, the angst and the whole idea of friendship and growing up to adulthood was something that I really related to and really loved reading. I filmed the intro a week ago and then I started reading another book, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not reading Funny Story because I need to finish this book, and it was a pretty long book. It took me a week to finish, but I finally have started reading Funny Story, and the whole premise of this book is basically two roommates whose partner cheated on them with each other, if that makes sense. And something about their cheating trope, I want revenge so badly when it comes to cheating, especially when it's ex-partners. I want them to be petty, okay? I want them to get revenge, make the other person be hurt as well, because I don't know if that makes me a terrible person, but there's something about that kind of suits my anger. But because of that, the two characters are fake dating, and I haven't read that much, so I don't really know where it's gonna go, but I feel like with the books like this, probably the ending, I feel like it's gonna be happy. You know, maybe the revenge is not gonna it's not gonna be there. It's been a while since I filmed this video, so I have literally no idea what's going on, but I filmed a clip, I swear, about me talking about Funny Story, but I looked on my camera, my iPad, and my laptop, and I cannot find it anywhere, so I don't know if I imagined filming it or maybe I just like talked in front of the camera without pressing the record button. But I'm going to be talking about Funny Story right now because it's been a while since I read it. I'll be honest, I don't really remember my thoughts about it that much, but I did end up enjoying it. I really liked Miles and Daphne and their chemistry and their banter, and I think just the development of their relationship. It was really cute how they kind of learned little things about each other, and I think it developed really nicely throughout the book instead of it being like an instant attraction. They were both grieving and they were getting over that, and I just really like how their relationship was written. I also think that Funny Story is actually one of those titles that does match with the book because it is a funny story. I found the ending hilarious because I'm glad that the characters got their happy ending, whereas their partners, you know, I wanted more out of the revenge. But in terms of a contemporary romance book, you know what, this makes me satisfied. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. There were certain scenes that I swear really pleased my little heart. I was like, ha. I don't know, I just love jealous little petty scenes. And there were also certain scenes in this book that did make me feel a little bit emotional, made me cry a little bit, and it's nothing to do with Daphne and her dad. It was literally just Daphne and Miles. Also confession scenes. I love really long confession scenes where they mention all the little things that they love about the other character. That's so cute. The thing that I didn't really connect to is just Daphne and her relationship with her father. And at this point, I'm thinking, is it Funny Place where this happened or just for the summer? Because I swear they have like similar plots in terms of the way that the relationship with their parents are reading, so I don't really know. But yeah, the next book that I read after Funny Story was Just for the Summer, where you will see my thoughts of this book unfold in the next couple of clips. Here's a shot of my Kindle because I look like a mess, but I was basically editing this video and I came to the realization that actually the next book that I read was The Familiar, not Just for the Summer. And I don't know what happened to the clip, but it honestly messed everything up because I was like, oh yeah, totally forgot that I read The Familiar, which there is a reason why, you'll see in the next clips. But yeah, I read The Familiar second and then Just for the Summer
though.
I've read a little bit of The Familiar, but if I'm being honest, I am not really motivated to pick it up. So I read like 10% of it yesterday, and then I was like, I don't really want to read it. I'm not in the mood for like a historical fantasy. But then I was like, okay, I'll try and read a little bit more, maybe hit the 20% mark. And I do think it's getting a little bit more interesting, so I'm going to try and read more, and if I like it, then I will actually finish it. But there's something in my head that's like, do I want to DNF it? And I've also been reading some Goodreads reviews, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's pretty slow, there's nothing really going on, it's boring, and that's kind of reasons why I tend to put books down. So I'm gonna read a little bit more, see what I think about it. It is a little bit disappointing because obviously it's 𝐜𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐢𝐬, I love her books, but I feel like normally I go into them straight away just like really enjoying it, and this one is just taking me a little time. But if I don't end up reading it, I do want to start reading Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, because literally everyone has been talking about this book. All the booktubers that I watch have all been reading this book, and it is a romance contemporary, so it should be quite easy and fun to read. But I'm going to continue on with reading this book for now, see how I feel about it. Okay, so I did end up DNFing The Familiar because I did read a little bit more of it, but literally while reading it, I was like, I have no thoughts. I have no thoughts up here in my brain, and I didn't really care about this book. I was reading it and thinking, oh, what would I say about this book? Do I like it? Do I not like it? But while reading it, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I was just not, I guess, like super connected to it. The magical system was very interesting. The characters I thought were very interesting, but at the same time, I literally just did not care about them. I just didn't really want to pick it up. No motivation. Yeah, I think after yesterday, it was just incredibly hard for me to pick up the book. I literally don't feel like reading, so that kind of sucks. But I did end up reading a very short novella after I decided to DNF The Familiar. But I am gonna get into Just for the Summer. I haven't started it yet. I'm gonna start it soon, and I feel like I will like it because it's a pretty simple romance contemporary book. I do expect some deeper storyline because I feel like a lot of romance books, they love having this cute little cheesy vibe, and then all of a sudden something hits you out of nowhere which makes you cry. I have read a little bit of Just for the Summer, and so far I am really enjoying it. I love the characters' reaction to each other. It's really cute, and the whole fact that it starts off with Reddit is very interesting. Also, the main character is a travel nurse, which I find really cool, and it's so cute how they go to like different places in the country, especially with her best friend. And while I am enjoying it, I don't really have a connection to the characters, so I feel like I need to read a little bit more before I get more invested in the story. I finally finished reading Just for the Summer, which this book took me a really long time to read because it felt so bland. Something about the story, the characters, the romance, everything just felt so bland to me, and because of that I was really bored. I didn't really care about the characters, I didn't really connect to them. I also didn't really care about the romance. I felt like they had no chemistry, and it happened so quickly because literally Justin, I love him, he's such a nice sweet guy. However, when he first meets Emma, he falls in love with her straight away, and I felt like he was more invested in Emma than Emma with him, which makes sense because she has a lot of trauma and PTSD when it comes to people in her life, so it makes sense. However, at the same time, I felt like she was kind of annoying and selfish because the way that it was written, there were certain things that were very repetitive. Justin would mention multiple times that he really liked Emma, he didn't want to let her go, whereas Emma would be like, I really like him but I can't invite him in, and that's like repeated over and over again throughout the book. And I will be honest, I was super bored while reading it, which is why it did take me a while to finish it. And I think maybe in the 67% I did cry because there was this whole dramatic scene, and that made me tear up because I'm a very emotional person. But even with the ending, I was a little bit upset, if I'm being honest. It just left me feeling so unsatisfied, and I felt really bad because I felt like Justin was putting more effort into the relationship than Sarah was. Not Sarah, Emma was. I did start reading another book, which is A Fate Inked in Blood, and so far the only thing I could say about this book is that I literally hate everyone. I hate all the men, I hate some of the women, and she should go ahead and kill them all because they are literally making my blood boil. I finally have finished reading my last book in this video, and honestly this video was such a struggle to film. I think I've been filming it for 3 weeks or maybe longer because I took a little break, and I don't know, all of the books that I read in this video, I did really struggle to get through them, but I ended up DNFing a Fate Inked in Blood. When I said I hated the men and some other side characters, I really grew to despise them. I don't even like the main character, and in the beginning I was like, oh, maybe she's not bad because she is the main character, but just as I continued on with it, I was like, I cannot deal with it. It's not only the main character that is horrible, it's literally everybody. And it also gave me secondhand embarrassment because basically we meet her love interest, I guess, and she's instantly attracted to him physically, and she keeps like lusting over him, which makes me uncomfortable because there are certain scenes in this book and I guess like vague innuendos in some sort of way that make me really uncomfortable and I personally don't like reading stuff like that, and it's so frequent. I only have read I think like 90 something pages, and the amount of times it has been mentioned, it's really weird to me, and maybe it's because of the time of when the book is set in, but I personally did not like that. And with the love interest, he's basically a ladies' man, so he flirts with a lot of women, and there was an instant when a girl went up to him, starts flirting with him, and he's kind of like, oh, I'm not gonna get any sleep tonight thing, which I do not like that. And she gets jealous over that, so she comes up to him and is trying to draw him away from the girl, but literally he's like to her, what are we even going to talk about? Because she's trying to have a conversation with him. She's like, oh, like I need to talk to you, let's go and talk. And he's like, what are we even going to talk about? We have nothing to talk about. And that literally gave me secondhand embarrassment. Imagine getting jealous over a man that you met like 2 days ago, feeling possessive over him. You come up to him to talk to him and to prevent him from going with this girl, and he shuts you down. She's also getting married to his dad. I just couldn't read it, so I decided to DNF it. I ended up reading a novel love story, and to be honest, in the beginning I was enjoying it, but I think the more that I read it, the more I disliked it. Especially maybe like the last 30-40%, I was really struggling to get through it because I was like, this is actually making me so mad. First of all, the main character, something about her was just so irritating to me. She pissed me off. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it was just how her character was written or her personality, but I was reading Goodreads reviews because I need other people's opinions to validate me, and a lot of people were saying the same thing, where it felt like she was written to be a quirky character, and obviously she's the main character, so she's the voice of the book, which made it really difficult for me to read. And I will be honest, I don't like it when authors have main characters who love reading, because I feel like it's very repetitive. They always mention that they love the smell of books, the feeling of the spines, how words can transport you into another world, which I totally understand because I feel the same way. But I feel like that kind of takes me out of the book because I come to the realization that, oh, I'm doing the same exact thing. And why would I be reading a book to read about them reading and how much they love reading to be transported into another world? Granted, this book is about her entering her favorite book, but she mentions it multiple times, how much she loves the book, how much she loves reading. I feel like a book that does this well is Inkheart, where the main character is also transported into a book, but I feel like the way that the use of books is written is that it actually adds to the plot and adds to the story rather than it just being mentioned in every chapter. And I honestly feel like none of the characters had any substance, and because of that I didn't really care about the story and why it was the main character's favorite book. There was no charm about it, even though she loved it so much. I also really did not like the romance. I had no expectations while going into it because a lot of people said that the romance was not good, but it was really bad. It was worse. It was worse than I thought it was, because we have Anders, who is a love interest. He basically doesn't show up in the first half of the book. He's barely there, and he hates her in the beginning, or he dislikes her, and I don't know, all of a sudden starts liking her, and he's like, I'm in love with you, I'm attracted to you. But where was the transitioning point from when you hated her to when you liked her? There was just no development in their relationship, no chemistry. I literally just did not care about them being together. And I feel like the ending as well, if you guys have read the book, you will know what the hell was that ending. Just the way that the romance was written and how it was wrapped up was so horrible. I don't like the main character, but just the way that she was treated in that relationship, I don't understand why she would be in love with this guy. And something about it just didn't feel fulfilling, especially with the past that she had. I don't know, I just don't really like this book. I'm sorry if I'm being harsh, but this is obviously all my subjective opinions, and I always want to be honest with the thoughts that I have about books. I honestly just think it's this book because I've read some of Ashley Poston's other books and I love them. I'm not saying that you guys shouldn't read this book because obviously we all have different opinions, so even though I may have not liked this book, you may end up liking it. But yeah, this is just what I felt while reading it, and it was just like a continuous theme throughout the book. I unfortunately feel like I didn't like a lot of the books that I read in this video. I did enjoy Funny Story because I just really liked the banter and the chemistry between the two characters, but even then, reading Just for the Summer and Funny Story, I kind of feel like it's a blur in my head. Those two books kind of combined because I feel like they have similar themes of parent issues. But that's basically it for today's video. Unfortunately, a lot of the popular 2024 new releases just didn't hit with me, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Please like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye!